Today I'm going to show you how to perform a VW TSi oil change. This is a VW 1.2 TSI fitted into a Seat Ibiza. The VW 1.0 TSI and the VW 1.4 TSI are both exactly the same as this. Raise the front of the car a little. I suggest these caravan ramps, much easier than faffing around with jacks and axle stands. Handbrake tight on and chop one of the rear wheels. The engine should be fully warm. Drive it at least 5 miles and leave it for half an hour to cool down a little. That also gives all the oil time to drain back down into the sump. Take the oil filler cap off and the dipstick out. Give it a wipe. The oil filter on these is in the front right corner of the engine, so nice and easy to get at. Fit your preferred type of oil filter removal tool. I like these Lyle Corporation tools. They're made in the USA, they're extremely good quality. Undo the filter. About 2 turns initially. From here on in I suggest wearing gloves, preferably the sort that have got the nice thin rubberized palm and fingers. Undo the filter the rest of the way. Put a cloth and lift the filter away. Once under the car, it'll become apparent why raising the front of the car is a good thing. 1, we need the room to get this oil pan in, and 2, the sump plug is on the rear side of the sump and you'll get more of the old oil out. Loosen the sump plug with your 19mm socket or spanner. Position your drain pan, undo the sump plug all the way. I press it in with one finger whilst undoing it with my thumb and middle finger, then quickly remove it. Back up top with the drain plug still out of the sump and the oil pan underneath. With about half a litre of oil in a pouring jug, pour some oil into the oil filter housing. And you'll see that the oil comes round here and drains down that slot. If your aim is really good and you can pour a little down the centre down here, that'll go backwards through the oil pump back into the sump, clean the oil pump out. And whilst that continues to drain away again, slowly pour some fresh oil into the top of the cam cover. Those 2 actions go some way to swilling old oil and dirt out of the top of the engine and the oil pump and oil filter area. It'll also flush the last of the dirty oil out of the sump. If you want to be extremely thorough, you can lift the old oil out of there, put it down the centre using a turkey baster. Most of this oil that's down here comes out of the oil cooler here, so you might find that it fills up again. Dip your finger into the fresh oil and apply some oil all around the filter gasket. The sump plug is still out, so the sump is still draining the very last of its oil, but whilst it is, we'll put this oil filter into place. Tighten it down by hand only. Nice and tight, but by hand. Return to the underside of the car, put the sump plug back in place, move your drain pan out of the way, wipe round the sump drain and tighten the plug up to 30 Newton meters. Make sure to store your old oil safely until such time as you can get rid of it in a proper fashion. Here in the UK, most refuse tips take old oil. The official service interval for these is 1 year or 10,000 miles, but in common with other authorities on the subject, I would advocate a twice yearly oil change. Thanks to the design of the oil filler, you can't put a funnel down in through the oil filler, so use a measuring jug and put 3.6 litres up to June 2011. After June 2011 it's 3.9. Return the oil cap and the dipstick. Start the engine. Make sure that the oil warning light goes out within about 5 seconds and let the engine idle for about a minute. Put the car back on level ground. Stop the engine, leave it to stand for about 5 minutes or so, and then check your oil level. Make sure that it's at least halfway between minimum and maximum. Top up as necessary. I would suggest straight after the oil change like this, not to be too generous with your topping up at this stage, because you don't want to risk overfilling it. Check it again the following day after a journey. If you got value from this video, please give it a like down by the title. Consider subscribing if you want to learn more about looking after your car. I'll see you Again soon.